Hello, hello. Well, where to begin? So much has happened. Number one, we've had a year where the school run strategy was just hit by a bus. Um, we've had our upgrade to the PRT software from version 11 to version 12, and that has actually brought us a significant change, something we're going to have to look at carefully because it changes the way we have to use this algo. And yeah, let's just quickly get ahead and jump in. So, for a recap, we had determined up until 6 February 2023, as you can see there with the last backtesting in the spreadsheet. Just hovering my mouse over there right now, that the best settings for the algo over the last 9 years from November 2014 was a 90 point maximum candle size, which would, together with a buffer, also create the stop loss for the strategy. The minimum candle that we wanted to take the trade on would be 20 points in size, and we were using a TP of 68 points. Now, on top of that, we had a filter that would prevent trades if you're on the wrong side of the exponential average of 55. And then we didn't trade Mondays or for 4 months of the year, January, March, May, and July. And that then resulted in a profit of 16,164 and 90 cents. Now, using those same dates, as you can see, and the same settings, we now get a different profit for this strategy. And I think what the reason is, as the data gets older, the system probably doesn't have the same level of detail of the movements within time frames. It starts to use probably just open and close and maybe discards highs and lows. I don't know, but I I think in order to get to the exact bottom of it, you would have to do a trade by trade comparison and see where the differences are coming from. Nevertheless, I think it's always going to be a problem if you use older data. Uh, that how I know in PRT you only have tick by tick data for the last 5,000 bars. So yeah, it's going to be a problem whatever you do if you go back too long in the history. Trend's still very much the same though from the chart before. All right. Um, just looking at that there. This looks like, yeah, the 200, you see that looks like then a bit of, looks like there's a worse pull down here than what it's got here. So it looks like the problem sits there at the 200 mark. That might be where we did a bit of a flat line there, up, up, up. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's over here that we might have to go and investigate it. Right. Let's discuss what's happened with version 12 of the software. Um, so we used to have a soft cap um, with the data. We could only test, or even though I was saying to it, hey, give me the last 200,000 bars, it would only test back to 11 November 2014, which wasn't quite 200,000 bars. With version 12, this limitation seems to have been removed. You can see now I'm able to backtest all the way back to 2006. Now, this is the impact on the coding. If you look here at the period before 2014, we had an index value ranging from a low of 3,560 to as high as 9,700. So it is a dramatically lower index value on average day by day to what followed since when we were testing the algo. We were 16,200 with a low of say 8,000. So basically, these parameters that we determined over here was for when the index was valued at about a 12,000 average, where over here it's sitting at a 6,000 average. So you can tell that using absolute parameters for an algo of 68 points will be quite a significant profit target when it's trading at 6,000, and often that TP just wouldn't get hit. And I surmised that would be why when I use the same parameters going back here, we can do that now. So I'll just extend the back testing to the start of the data here. See if that does it. It was showing me that was creating a loss, not doing well at all. There you can see it. And I thought, okay, that must be because the parameters weren't built for these index values here. But I then said, okay, let's do relative parameters instead of absolute. Now, a relative parameter is where you use a percentage of the index price to determine what your parameter will be. So instead of having points as your profit target, you have a percentage of the close as your profit target. And the same would go for your maximum candle size and so on. So in doing that, I then determined what the optimum parameters would have been for the absolute values, and indeed they did change over this period. But at the end of the day, it still showed, even with the correct parameters for this period here, it still showed a loss. The other important thing was that the equity curve for the absolute looked the same for the most part as the relative equity curve. So the idea behind the algo, the theorem that there should be liquidity showing up at the open, stayed intact. All right. So I think let's depart now from the absolute and focus on the relative parameter algo and understand it, and then discuss if the school run strategy is still profitable. Okay. Right. So first thing to see is that there was basically a period, there was a brief performing period over here, but there was, for the most part, underperformance of this algorithm up until October 2015. Basically, also can use this as the point because it was just ranging over there. 24 October 2017, all the way up until the high in November 22. So it seems to have performed for 5 years and underperformed 2006, 2015, and for about 9 years it hasn't performed. Right, so that's significant. If we see that this algo doesn't work, it can potentially go into a dry spell for up to 9 years. Okay, now that brings us to the idea that maybe we should have some kind of indicator or flag that tells us when it's likely to not work, and then see if we can reverse engineer the strategy to do the opposite. Take the other side of the trade, as you were. Right, now let's just quickly look at how do we do the optimization. This is pretty important. So first, what I would like you to see these blocks here. These are data blocks. So when I run the optimization of a strategy, I am able to um, tell the software that I want to do, if this is my entire data range, I wanted to break it up into 3 blocks or 3 data runs. And within each of those blocks, I'm going to say that there's in-cycle data, or sorry, in sample data and out of sample data. So I wanted to create determine what the optimum is, and then also test if that optimum settings is still uh, profitable for the remainder of the block, which will then be made up of out of sample data. And so by doing that, you can prevent your algorithm or your software to over optimize, and yeah, over optimize parameters that will always give you the profit that was the best for the past, and will not necessarily be reliable for the future. Okay, so in doing that, it gave us a percentage of the maximum candle side of 0.5%. Amplitude min was 0.1%, and the TP was 1%. Now, looking forward, it continued to use those settings. It never changed them, which then tells me that this is the best settings, that they don't even change over time. Now, that actually makes sense because the change in the index size shouldn't have an impact on the strategy. All right, because the percentage sort of counteracts whatever impact the growth in the index size would have had on the algo. When I did the same thing for the absolute values, the values actually changed because it had to, the because of the change in the size in the indexes. So there you go. It's That's how we went about it. And now we can actually, so we see the same type of behavior, and now we can actually just focus on, okay, how did this algo perform since 2023? Now, I did lock the absolute one down for us so that we could see what the profit was in the past versus the future. Well, compared to the last time we tested it, so that was the same end date. So I'm gonna add the new data in for us now. I'm only gonna go up to 31 December because then I would like to show you guys, because I am saying don't trade this in January. I want to show you what would have happened in this January only. All right, so we'll run a specific run just for that. Okay, now what's this here? Absolute. Oh, and this is because I've extended the data right to the beginning, so the profits dropped a lot from the 12,000 we had before. Okay, now let's go and add, oh yeah, it's over here. So relative. Okay, let's do an update here to 31. All right, bear with me, it's gonna run now. So the relative one is already showing us that it didn't do so well in 2023. Oh, why is that now? What's happened here? Not extending. That's the best I'm gonna get it. Okay, so let's really zoom into 23, yeah? So basically from here, we could see that the algo sort of did nothing for most of the year. With a relative one, it actually lost money all the time. And then it really started to lose money from August and reached the bottom here at 8 November. And since then, it has started to make money again. So, okay, now we've seen that it can underperform for up to 8 or 9 years. Then it can do well for a long time. And now it seems to have underperformed for at least a year. And we are seeing the signs of a turnaround. Will it continue? Let's just see here. So here, once we started to have a pullback, there was a bit of a spike there. Might it go down again in the past? We shall see. Right now, I think it's crucial, therefore, that we hunt for an indicator that tells us when this strategy works and when it doesn't. And I don't know if there is one. We'll just have to do the research. Right, last thing to do now is to run it for January only. So the best way to do that is, oh, did I go over the settings? I don't know if I did. I just wanted to remind everyone what the settings was. Anyway, so here I've now also recorded the parameters for the relative parameter settings. These are still going to be applied. I would like to see what it would do under the relative system if I remove this exponential average filter. So maybe let's just do that first before I just run it for January only. Oh, that's the absolute relative. Let's set that up. So it's okay. We're sitting on a 95,911 equity from 100K. So we've lost. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to do that. Now let me stop it. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly set up those settings. I think it's about ready. All right. I just want to see, did I remember? Yeah, okay. Cool. So it got a lot worse without that exponential moving average. Now we've lost 35,000. Okay. Well, let's reinstate that, and then we'll just run it for January so people can see if it would have been worth trading this this month. January 2024 so far. Okay, apologies. I just reinstated the 55 EMA, and now okay, here we go. That runs it. Oh yeah, I have to remove the apologies. Okay, now month one's enabled. Okay, let's do the same for the absolute. Oh, no, change that. Okay, here we go. So, the absolute would have lost $851, and we have settings here for this one. This one's slightly less. Okay, and there you have it. So sit on your hands for January, and hopefully the turn that we've seen since November is going to continue. But I think just be careful. The strategy can stop for, oh, I wanted that different. Okay. The strategy can actually not be profitable on a cyclical basis for 8 to 9 years. 3 out of 11 wins is below 30% win rate. Okay. Well, thank you. I think we'll wrap it up there before I start to bore you. I know I'm not the most enthusiastic of speakers because it's also mathematical and analytical. But I hope you enjoyed it and got value out of this nevertheless. See you next time. I will go and hunt for, well, there's two things I want to do. I want to be able to work out if we can flip the strategy, i.e. short when it should go long, because it's not in a trending period, equity curve wise, and find the indicator that tells us when to flip the strategy. Cheers, guys.